And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about the Demon 170. I'm gonna just predict this is likely the last video, at least for a while, that I'm going to do on the Demon 170, because at this point you don't need my videos to tell you what's going on. You can very simply deduce this yourself. Most of you, 99% of you, unless you're one of those few, or I'm sorry, many, who paid $200,000+ for a Demon 170 and are now having tremendous regret internally, but not yet willing to admit that you made a huge mistake. You got caught up in the FOMO, you got caught up in the hype, and now you're sitting on this car and you're in the forums and you are spewing frustration and anger every time somebody is selling their car for much less, or every time you see a dealer selling a car for much less than you paid, and you're scratching your head going, well, they're going to come back in value. I know they are. This isn't really going to happen. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. Wapner's on at 8. Wapner's on at 8. I mean, this is insanity. That I get it. Listen, I've done things like this before. I've bought things and thought, man, I'm going to make a killing on this. This is going to be brilliant. And then it wasn't brilliant. Shiba Inu. I thought I was going to be on the yacht by now. Now, yes, I knew that it was a highly risky investment. And I also think that most of these people had to have, on some level, known that they were taking a huge risk. But what they didn't do is they didn't look into history, and they didn't watch what was happening. And it was so obvious what was happening for years before this thing came out. So what I want to share with you today is, and hoping this gets to some of those people, and it just helps them understand, if they are sitting on their car, if they're sitting on their car still hoping that it comes back up in value a year from now, and they're going to be in great shape, they're going to be just fine, their value is going to go back to $200,000. I'm not doing this to rub it in their face. I want to actually help them through, maybe let's call this therapy, to where they can get to a place of going, all right, man, let's deal with the reality, and just sell your car. Just sell your car to somebody who's going to use the car. Sell your car to somebody who's going to race your car. Sell your car to somebody who's going to take it out in the wild and use the hell out of that car, like God intended it to be. Rather than sitting on it, hoarding it, and polishing it, keeping your little protective bubble in your garage, and planning and hoping that this thing's going to someday pay off a humongous dividend, and you're going to look like a genius. Because nothing is worse than buying a $150,000, $200,000 thing like these people did, and then telling your wife that that thing's going to help you retire, that thing's going to make you money, and then not driving that thing and having it just sit in your garage, and every day walking by it, staring at it, telling people about it, talking about you owning it, and keeping the miles down to 100 miles in hope and anticipation that you're going to be able to flip that thing and make a bunch of money 5 years from now. As I've said in my other videos, history has proven that it will take 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 years or more for a car like this to be in perfect condition, to be able to go for an astronomical price. And even then, I'll share with you some of the reasons why it's just not going to happen. So now let's talk about, I've got 7 reasons why. The comment, which I'll put one up on the screen right now, from one guy, but it's many of them are saying this in the Demon forums, which is, well, once the inventory all gets exhausted, because there's too many on the market right now, and one guy says, this guy says 63% of the cars were dealers or something, and once all these cars get exhausted off the market, then our values are going to come right back. Well, here's the reasons why they aren't. Okay, let's go. 1, I wrote down here, for the oversupply to be exhausted, the dealers, the flippers, and speculators will have to come down on their prices. Dealers are most likely move faster than the flippers because the flippers overpaid with markups. So now you've got a competitive situation, flippers against dealers. Dealers got cars at invoice. These guys are going to get screwed. The flippers are going to get burned. So they're going to sit on their cars longer because these flippers can't get their head around losing $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. So they're going to wait and wait and wait. But the entire time they're waiting, they're leaving their cars on the market. Go look at how many days these cars are already showing on the market. Go look at how many days some 2018 Demons have been on the market. We're talking years at times they've been sitting on the market, just renewing the ad, and not selling that car. Heck, I found a used one already that's, I think it's been on the market 154 days at $107,000. That's insane. It's a ridiculously low price, but yes, it has some miles on it, but nonetheless, 154 days, that's a long time. Next, the flippers who financed their cars. Flippers went out there, and here's the deal, using other people's money. Remember OPM? Using other people's money is how a lot of these flippers and investors work. They're not going to shell out $125,000, $130,000 with tax and license on a car and then hope that that car goes to $200,000 and they're out all that money. And if it takes 2 or 3 years for that to happen, they're out that money that could have been making them more money just in the stock market or on real estate. So they would use the bank's money. Well, if they are hoping that it flips relatively quickly for $225,000 and they paid $175,000 for that car plus tax and license, and now they're in the car, let's say for $200,000, they're hoping to get $225,000, and they've got a huge interest rate and a payment on that thing, and they did put a bunch of money down because the bank likely wouldn't finance all that crazy markup. They're sitting there paying what is most likely a high interest rate on that money, forcing them to go deeper and deeper underwater on that car, meaning that they're not going to sell at lower prices until they pay down their loan enough to build enough equity to just escape the nightmare. Plus, getting the human mind into the place of acceptance that, okay, I lost money, means that it could take a year, 2 years of these cars sitting on the market while they're paying the loans down and ultimately saying, screw it, it was a bad bet and I'm out. But they financed them because they didn't want to use their own money, and now they're even deeper upside down the car because they're paying all that interest. Next, all the dealer cars that are going to be sitting for a long time have the benefit of their warranty not starting until the customer purchases the car and it's sold. But all the flippers and speculators, their warranties started burning the day that they bought those cars and stuck them in their hermetically sealed bubbles or put them on eBay hoping they're going to get big money for them. So if a car sits there now, and watch this next year and 2 years and 3 years, as cars sit there for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to watch warranties burning off. And with all the issues coming out about these cars and these cars not being driven, they don't know if their car is going to be a defective car. They don't know if their car is going to be a good car or not because they're not out there driving it. So the best deal out there, here's the fun part, is going to be the cars that were actually driven and can prove that, let's say 5, 6, 7,000 miles on them, have had no issues. I would feel safer buying one of those cars that was driven, that's had no issues, than to buy one of the new cars but were flipped and now it's been sitting in a garage for 6 months, a year, 2 years, because I don't know if it's going to be a good one or not. So that's going to hurt the values of those flipped cars, those speculator cars. And next, the belief that prices will go up after all the inventory is exhausted. One, it's not happened. It's not happened in history. It's never happened in history. I mean, if somebody knows of one, tell me. It's going to be such an exception to this rule that these people are smoking something. They're living in fantasy land. It's never happened. Go look at history. Go look at the 2018 Demons that you can get now for $118,000, $120,000, $130,000. If it's sitting there for $150,000, it's going to be sitting there for a very long time. The 2018 Demons continue to drop in price, and people are going to say, well, it's because the 170 is dropping in price, and 2018s did not have some crescendo of increased price. Once you get past the hype, it's down from there until you're 30, 40 years down the road. There's nothing in history that would tell us that anything other than that would take place. And next, the Demon 170 is a race car. It is good at doing one thing. Somebody asked me the other day, so Brad, what do you like more, your Lamborghini or the Demon? And I said, the Lamborghini. Here's why. The Lamborghini does everything well. the 2015 Lamborghini Huracan, which is what I have. MSRP is for about $275,000. I got mine for $195,000. And that car, I can drive to work every single day, and I can go race it if I want to. I can do 0 to 60. Car and Driver got it to 2.6 seconds. Lamborghini advertised like 3.1, but people are out there doing 2.6 seconds on that thing once you get used to the launch control. So it's a screamer. I can beat just anything I want to beat out there on the road for the most part. It handles like a dream. It rides amazingly nice with that mag ride. It looks incredible. It can do a quarter mile relatively quick. Supercharge it, it'll freaking blow the doors off of almost anything. And in the end, it does everything really, really well. But the Demon 170 does one thing well, but yet we are still waiting to see it do that really, really well, which is a quarter mile. It can do a quarter mile in perfect conditions, maybe keep up with the Tesla, but not every single time, and as long as it doesn't blow up. So it can do one thing well. Where the 2018 Demon, you could buy that car and drive it every single day to work if you wanted to. Came with the wide body in the front, wide body in the back, the big tires. You can drive it out on the street. You can change the tires to the race slicks. You can change the tires to the race tires and go to the track. And in the end, the Demon 170, you can't. It is, what was great about the 2018 Demon is you can take it out every single day to work, and then with the crate, you can transition it over to a race car, and then transition it back to be able to drive it on the road and enjoy the heck out of it. With the Demon 170, it shows up with super sticky tires, drag radials. It's not for the street. It's dangerous for the street if there's any water on the road. So you wouldn't want to drive it every single day for that reason. The suspension's very different. I mean, everything about that car is completely dialed in for the track. So it does one thing really well. So unless you're buying that thing to just race it, you have a 4,500 pound brick in your garage that looks really cool, looks really nice. You could drive to Cars and Coffee, but you can't really use it for anything else. And for that reason, it's not going to be as sought after as even the 2018 Demon. And people who do buy it are going to realize that after they get it and go, I can't use this for anything else. I can't use this for anything else. So it's a very expensive thing that does nothing. And if there's no tracks around, then you can't even use it for the thing that it was built to be used for. And then lastly, and I mentioned this earlier, is just too many of these. Let's just call it 90% of these were bought by speculators, flippers, collectors. So there will be no shortage of very low mileage examples. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. There will be no shortage of these cars sitting with very low miles. If you go back to the old, Plymouth Roadrunners and the 69 Camaros and, just some of the really cool, iconic cars, and the 68, 69 Dodge Chargers, and some of these really iconic, really expensive, really cool cars, the only way they're really worth massive money is if they have low miles, because they would be so rare, because there isn't a lot of them out there, because people were actually buying them back then, just buying them to use them and have fun with them. Meaning it made the low mileage examples extremely rare. In this case, too many people bought them to sit on them. So I will tell you, if there's 3,300 out there, you're going to see probably 2,000 of these things out there 20 years from now, still sitting there with 11, 12 miles on them. That doesn't lend itself for the cars to be extremely rare and go for a lot of money. That just is something that I don't think we can do anything about. So with that, everybody, sorry for this longer video, but I just had to share all this stuff. I don't plan on doing any more Demon 170 beating videos, but I just wanted to get this point across that if you've got one and you paid for it in the right price, you paid MSRP for it, you got it for a good deal, or you bought it to enjoy it. If you bought it for $200,000, you bought it just to enjoy the hell out of it, good for you. Use it, enjoy it, keep it forever, but don't think it's an investment. It's not. And don't think you're going to be able to sit around and see this price go to the moon. It's not. The prices are going to keep going down, and they're going to probably settle around that 135 range as people start selling them with some miles on them, so you'll be able to get one. And those with very low miles will sit up there in the 150 range, 160 range, and just kind of drift around until somebody else thinks they can buy a speculation car. Because one of the only main reasons you're going to buy a car for that price 2 years from now with 11 miles on it is you want to speculate on it too. And the challenge with that is that guy did, and it didn't go anywhere for him. So fewer and fewer of those buyers are actually be out there willing to buy that thing to speculate on it after they see cars out there with 15, 16,000 miles on them going for $120,000 that they can buy and have fun with. And by the way, they've been proven that they aren't going to blow up. They're perfectly running and in great condition and usable. So with that, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.